So I click on the.
Yeah, you should see it right now on the page and also on.
And okay, click share, put a watch party, or is that the best?
You can do a watch party if you want, or you can just share it. Yeah, you should see it right now on the page. Okay, we are live on Facebook. Let's give it a few more minutes. We'll start in 2 minutes exactly at 3:05 Pacific time, 6:05 Eastern time. Welcome everyone to the Zoom room. We're just connecting here to Facebook and trying to get some more attendees to join us. So thank you for your patience.
I'll be right back.
Okay, we'll get started. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome everyone to today's Fireside chat with Mona Abdulla. My name is Hisham Hussein and I am the president of the American Association of Yemeni Students and Professionals, AAYSP. And today we have a very special guest and we'll be discussing a very important topic for a lot of college students and as well as young professionals who are looking to navigate their careers, whether into as they're pursuing an undergrad degree or a graduate degree. Before we start with our guest, I would like to give you a brief introduction about AAYSP and what we do. So allow me a few minutes of your time to talk about AAYSP. AAYSP is a 501c3 organization. It's a national organization that promotes innovation and advancing the educational success of Yemeni Americans by networking, mentoring, advocacy, and academic support. Our main objective and mission is to promote education within the Yemeni American community across the board. You can know more about AAYSP by visiting our main website, aaysp.org. You can also visit our page on Facebook or Instagram if you're not into Facebook. We also have a YouTube channel that we just launched in the past few weeks, and we upload all of our content there, including a number of webinars that we hosted over the past several months. An upcoming event that we have on Wednesday, actually, on the 28th of October, is targeting California high school students. It will be discussing the AG requirements for getting admitted into a university within California. This is mainly for our California chapter audience, and it's good to be attended by students as well as parents. So don't miss on that one. If you have any friends or colleagues who are in California, please share this with them. Students do need to sign up, or even parents need to sign up to attend this session, and we will broadcast it live as well. Okay, so now moving on to our topic for today. Mona Abdulla was actually highlighted as our professional of the month over the past few days, and we are lucky to have her with us today to talk about her career and her profession, to give an introduction about it and what it means for students at large. I just want to request from the audience, if you please mute yourself on the Zoom room. And for those who are watching us on Facebook, you can join us directly in the Zoom room if you like. You can find the link on the event on Facebook, and you can join us and we'll admit you in right away. Just to give you a brief introduction about Mona Abdulla. Mona Abdulla is a single mother of 2 teenage boys and the daughter of a Yemeni American immigrant parents. She was born and raised in Buffalo, New York, and currently works as the manager of community engagement at NYIC. Previously, she spent many years working as a career counselor and received her bachelor's degree in psychology and as well as her master's degree in college student affairs from Buffalo State. So she has a master's degree in this field, college students affairs, and this is what we're going to be talking about today. Mona also serves as a board of trustee at the Lackawanna City Schools and loves working in the public. We'll have a chance to ask her questions towards the end of the session, so please allow her to speak a little bit about her career and how she started this career, and then we'll move on to take your questions in the Zoom room or live on Facebook. Mona, do you want to say a few words about yourself, just to add more to your bio, and then we can go right away into the subject of today.
Okay, I just want to double check. So if people I invited on Facebook, do I need to do anything else with them, or?
No, they are seeing the live stream right now. If they have have marked their attendance to the event, they should be seeing the live stream on Facebook as well as your page.
Okay.
I'll double check.
I just wanted to make sure. So because I didn't
the video is on your page, so they should be able to see it.
Great. So I just wanted to add simply that I value education. For all cultures and societies. So that's part of the reason why see me in a field that helps students and that I'm involved in this the school board in our city.
Okay, great. So do you want to give us a quick, brief introduction about College Students Affair and what it does and what it means?
Sure. So College Student Affairs, which is also sometimes called College Student Services or Student Life, Student Success, is basically the services that are provided outside of the classroom for students, like financial aid, the health center, the dean's office, athletics, academic advising, all those supportive services outside of the classroom for college students. It's created to help the college students succeed.
Okay, great. And I'm sharing a slide here just for the general audience about the definition of this major or this profession. And just allow me to speak a little bit in Arabic for our Arabic audience, in case we have any Arab audience who only speak Arabic. ندوة اليوم نتحدث فيها عن مجال شؤون الطلاب في الجامعات، ومعنا الضيفة الأستاذة منى عبدالله، متخصصة في هذا المجال وعندها ماجستير في هذا المجال. في خلال الندوة هذه سوف نتطرق إلى عدة نقاط في هذا المجال: أسباب النجاح فيه، تشعبه وفروعه، وكذلك سوف نسألها عن بعض النصائح التي ممكن أن تقدمها للطلاب الملتحقين في الجامعات أو المهنيين الراغبين بالالتحاق بالدراسات العليا. So Mona, we want to focus our discussion about students who are in undeclared majors and who have a passion about helping others and maybe specifically helping students. What sort of major is this when it comes to the student deciding the type of field they want to study? Would this be something that is attractive? How is the market for it? How is the pay? A lot of questions, as well as whether is it only an undergrad degree or only you can pursue it as a graduate student? Just give us a general sense of this major.
Sure. So to start off, this is basically a graduate degree. It's a master's program. They have PhDs, of course. And you see, it depends on most programs at the master's, they'll accept any type of bachelor's that I've noticed. The program and the field is fairly new compared to other fields like biology and psychology and things of that sort. It started maybe in the mid 1900s, and there was a need for it because different things arose with college students, and even like the idea of FERPA, which is to keep student information protected. All of that started, I believe it was the 60s or 70s. And then the field started to develop mostly in the Midwest, and then it started spreading in the East and then the West. So it's, I noticed it's more popular like Midwest and East than in the West. However, there are some programs I noticed when I lived in California. I lived in Los Angeles. There was, for example, Long Beach, it was Cal State Long Beach had it, and Cal State Northridge in the Los Angeles area. So, but over here, it's like almost every school with a graduate program has it. And so I majored in psychology because I knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't know exactly how or exactly where that's going to take me, but I knew I was going to get a master's degree one day. Then I was a college tutor for a while. That was like my part-time job while I was in school. And then I noticed I liked helping college students. So I would get jobs. In higher ed, except the good jobs went to the people with the master's degree. So I said, what could I do to enhance my resume, to increase my chances to get better jobs in higher ed? So it is a marketable degree. It's not, a general degree that doesn't focus on something. It does focus on this field. If you go to, there's actually a website, highered.com. There's a higher ed jobs, I think. And that's where we look for jobs, because we know if there's something in our field across the United States, it's going to be there. So then, yeah, it is marketable. And then the starting pay may not be, huge. It might be at a private school, might be lower, depending on the city that you're in. It might be like low 40s average. But then what happens is it's not very hard to move on to higher positions. Like you might be a career counselor at the career center, and then you might move up to assistant director at the career center, or there's the in New York and California, I think there's the EOP program, and you could become an assistant director there, and then become a director, become a VP, a dean of a college, things of that sort, throughout the United States.
No, this is great. That's a nice overview.
Yeah.
Now, just to segue a little bit and get to know you better and how you went through your journey, and then we'll go back and talk about some questions that I have listed for you, and then we can take questions from the audience. As you went, and you mentioned that you are a single mom. You had two kids, and you had to pursue a master's degree later on in your career. How difficult was that for a Yemeni American woman, in the West, and being able to navigate the cultural challenges and the difficulties that you had as an individual pursuing such a degree? And it's not easy, basically, to go for, especially when you have kids. So how did you manage those challenges, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, well, let me tell you. Do you want me to go back to the bachelor's or just the master's?
I mean, yeah, we can go back a little bit back to the bachelor's, because I'm sure you struggled there as
even
well.
more.
Yeah.
So because I wanted to go back to the bachelor's only because at that time in the community that we lived in, we were kind of like the first generation of females going to college. So it was really like a peculiar thing. Our parents wanted us to be educated. Our parents wanted to be, they were proud of it. But at the same time, they were kind of like afraid. So when I went into my sophomore, junior year, it was like, more studying, harder. You had to stay up later to study. You needed to focus. At home, I had my brothers and sisters, and I'm sure most Yemeni families, females don't go away for college. I know some did, but that's not an option because they prefer they think it's not safe for the females to be on a college campus, and she should be provided for and taken care of. That's how our culture is for the people who are not Yemeni and watching. So I mean, that's how my parents were. But believe it or not, like I just moved back from California. I was living by myself in California. But in the beginning, it was just a strange thing to them. So my parents, when I stayed late, they were afraid. Then they found out my other Yemeni friends are there with me, and they felt better about it. It was like as the years progressed, it became easier for them, the ideas, the different things they went through. So then I was gonna say so, and then they're like, what, they didn't understand like sometimes the 4-year concept. It was like, well, you have your friends who went to school for 2 years and they finished, and I'm like, well, this is a bachelor's degree, but after I graduated, and they were really proud because like, wow, you did it, and we have no problem taking care of you, but now we know if something happens, you can take care of yourself if you needed to. So I got married after that and had 2 kids. 8 years later, we split up. So I said to myself, what are you going to do with yourself now? And I said, well, I always wanted to get my master's degree. So my 2 sons were 2 years old and 4 years old. Their dad was on the other side of the country. I was by myself. But I did, I moved back to Buffalo where my family was. My mom did help me for a while. And sometimes I had to use a babysitter. But that was a struggle. There were times where like I told you, I would, like my son had to go to the emergency. I remember he had a throat infection. We were there till 5 a.m. I was like deliriously tired. Went home, slept 5 hours, jumped back in my car, went to school. And I mean, there were other people who were, they would call non-traditional adults. That's what they call them in our field. Someone who's not the 18 to 22 or 22 to 24 years old in the graduate level. Non-traditional is older students, and there were some students like that, and they had jobs during the day. Everyone has their baggage, but with me, I was working part-time. I was a single mom. I was dealing with all of these things on my own, but I wanted my master's degree so bad. So I was focused.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. I mean, despite all these challenges, you had a goal in mind, and you were ready to do whatever it takes to actually pursue that dream and get that degree. And then so talk a little bit about it, and then also if you can talk about it in Arabic. حابين نسمع من الأستاذة منى يعني الصعوبات التي واجهتها، وكذلك ما هي الأسباب التي دعتها تستمر في الكفاح حتى تحصل على شهادة الماجستير في شؤون الطلاب بالدراسات العليا.
Yeah, so ever since I was a young child, I knew I wanted to go to college, and I used to say I want to get a PhD. and that was my goal. But then, so during my master's program, it was difficult. There were times, you know, I would leave class and my classmates would be in a group at the library. I'm like, oh, sorry, I gotta go get my kids, you know. That was me. And I always told myself one day it's gonna pay off, and one day my kids will be older and my life will be different. But in the meantime, you have to do whatever it takes to get what you need. So that's what kept me going. I guess in Arabic, I would say I don't know Arabic as good as you, so so
حاول عادي بالعامية مش
okay بحاول yeah. So لما كنت في الجامعة وبدرس الماجستير كان في صعوبات كثير لأنني كنت مطلقة ومعي أطفال صغار وكان كل شيء على راسي. So بعض الأحيان بدرس وبعدين بروح جري للبيت علشان أجيب أطفالي من عند الملعبة، وبعدين حتى لو أجلس طول الليل في المستشفى مع ابني لما كان مريض أنام شوية من الساعة 5 للساعة 8 وأقوم مبكرة وأروح أشتغل وأروح أدرس وأسوي أي حاجة اللي بتخليني أفوز بالأخير، علشان التعليم هو شيء مهم.
برغم الكفاح أو برغم الصعوبات التي واجهتها الأستاذة منى خلال دراستها المرحلة الأولى في دراستها وحتى في مرحلة الدراسات العليا، كان عندها هدف رئيسي في حياتها في تلك اللحظة، وهو تحقيق أو إنجاز واستلام الشهادة الجامعية. فبرغم الصعوبات كافحت وصبرت حتى نالت مرادها. طيب الآن نحب نتكلم على موضوع التخصص في مجال شؤون الطلاب، وهو تخصص مهم جدا خاصة للتلاميذ لأنهم هم أكبر المستفيدين. كطالب في الجامعة عندك مكتب شؤون الطلاب كي يساعدوك في الاستمرارية في الدراسة، وكذلك تسهيل الصعاب التي يمكن تواجهها كطالب. So we'll transition to English, and I hope that I think most of the audience will be English speakers. Some of the questions that I have for you, Mona, about your career and the profession itself is how do college students get introduced to this major? I asked you earlier, is there only a graduate degree that's called college student affair, or is it they can also study it in their bachelor's degree?
Well, as I was saying, it's definitely a master's level program. I don't know if there's a bachelor's. I don't think there is. I haven't seen it. However, like I was saying, the programs I know, you could major in anything for your bachelor's. Also, what did you ask? You said, yeah, it's a master's program. Sometimes they call it student affairs, student success, higher ed administration, student life. I don't know if they call it student life, but that's the field on the college campus. It's basically the dean of student life is over these areas, which is academic advising, athletics, and the health center, and things of that sort. And that is our field.
Okay, good. Now, what sort of personalities would you think would fit such a role? For somebody to be working with students day in and day out and deal with the challenges that they face on a daily basis and understand that the college system. Can you just talk a little bit about the personality that it takes to fill this role and succeed in it?
Okay, well, you definitely have to be a people person because it's a helping field. And if you could imagine, student life is like the social services of higher ed, or higher ed for some, if you don't know, it means the same word as saying college. So it's the social services of higher ed for students. Obviously it's a helping field because you're helping students, and you work heavily with students. So that's your whole point. When you're at the career center, you're assisting students pick the field that they want to go into. Academic advising, you're helping students pick classes. If you're in athletics, of course, the students are in the teams. If you're at the health center, the students come in as patients. That's also part of student affairs. Also financial aid, student accounts, all of that. Of course, you're dealing more with students initially. And then of course, maybe if you move on to leadership positions, it may not be as much, but I do know directors who still sometimes see students.
Okay, good. Now, besides educational institutions like colleges, what sort of other institutions or places that somebody could be applying or using this degree to work at? Nonprofits, maybe a possibility?
That's a good question. I'm glad you reminded me of that because I did want to touch upon that. So in this field, because you're trained to help people, to work one-on-one, these skills are transferable and you can use them to case manage, to in other helping fields, like in the community. So I know, for example, I have a friend who she actually got this degree, then realized she wanted to help high school students. So she took 2 more courses in our area. She could do that. Took 2 more courses and then certified to be a high school counselor. Okay. So it's pretty flexible. And I'm a prime example of that because I started in higher ed. I was working at an academic advising center. Then, because I focused on career counseling, I took some extra classes in vocational counseling. There are different personality tests people could take that I was trained in. I got certified in the MBTI to purchase and administer it. That's the people, Myers-Briggs, that's what everyone calls it. And also, I did my internship at the Career Center. So that was my focus. I liked doing that. What happened is after I worked in higher ed, I ended up transitioning into the New York State Department of Labor. So I was a job counselor for the community. That wasn't necessarily college students. It was just a community at large. I help people do resumes. I help people do job search, and I help people with interviewing skills. So I transferred those skills into the community and I was able to do that. So you can do that.
Okay, awesome. Now, so after you worked in this field for a while, you actually started working for a nonprofit yourself. Is that right? Yeah. And then at the same time, you are serving as in the school board of your local city. So how does this how did this degree help you get to that? You know, this is a post that you were nominated and elected for. Is that correct?
Yeah,
did you have to run a campaign, or was it an appointment?
It was elected.
Okay. So how did that help you go through such an adventure?
Yeah, well, it didn't directly help me, but as a person, of course, it helped me develop. However, I will say now, in any political position, you don't even have to go to college to run for a position. However, of course, any type of education helps. I joined the school board because outside of my work, I was heavily involved in the community because that's just something very important to me, is working in our community, whether it's for the Yemeni people or non-Yemenis, because I just feel like if you have skills and knowledge and resources, then you should share it with whoever's close to you. And some people might view that as oh, I don't have enough money to give out to share to the poor, or I need money myself. But your riches are not necessarily money. It could be just your resources, your knowledge. So that's how I feel. And that's what I did outside of work. And that just kind of like snowballed into that. And then I was volunteering at a nonprofit. They asked the director there to run for the position. She didn't want to, but she recommended me. And then it just like, it just kind of worked itself out that way. So then I'm involved in the Lackawanna School Board, which I love doing. I love public service, and it means a lot to me. And I, whatever, skills I could use from my experience, my education, whatever it is, I bring to the table.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I mean, you have a very diverse background in terms of education as well as your experiences. So that is something that, makes the person stand out. They have tried different things despite, despite facing challenges, finding the right opportunities, you are able to navigate through it and get what you're trying to achieve.
Now, yeah, maybe we could say, should we say it in Arabic?
Yeah, ممكن نتكلم بالعربي، يعني ممكن تتطرقي بس تلخصي بشكل عام يعني الكلام الذي قلناه قبل قليل.
Okay, I'm trying to remember what I said. So أنا كنت أنا قلت كنت بتكلم على الماجستير حقي، إن الواحد اللي بده يتخصص في مساعدة الطلاب في الجامعة مفروض لازم يدرس من فوق البكالوريا، لازم يدرس ماجستير. وفي في أشياء كثير في الجامعة الواحد يقدر يساعد الطالب، يعني في لما الواحد يختار حقه
التخصص
حق التخصص ولا الرياضة في الجامعة، أو لو في مشاكل عن قيمة الجامعة أو أي مكتب اللي خارج الصف، رحنا نساعد الطالب في هذا الشيء.
طبعا وإحنا اليمنيين، الطلاب اليمنيين في الجامعات هم أولى الناس يحتاجوا بهذه المساعدة، يعني إنه واحد يسهل الطريق، يساعدهم باختيار التخصص للدراسة، يساعدهم في التقديم على المنح الدراسية، التقديم على الفاينانشال ايد تقريبا. ممكن هل هذا يدخل في نفس المجال منى؟
100%.
ايوه. كذلك اذا عندك صعوبات للتخرج، اكمال الفصول اللازمه لك كطالب في تخصص معين، اي مشاكل قد تواجهها مع الاساتذه، هل تدخل في هذه الاشياء؟ اذا في مشكله مع الطالب مع استاذ او مع بروفيسور، هل تتدخلوا بهذه الاشياء في student affairs؟
Well, they go to the dean of the college. So, I mean, you start with the director or the chair of that department. But if there is a huge problem, they do go to the dean, because I used to work for a dean and she was the person everyone went to when they had, big issues they needed.
طيب، بحسب خبرتك أستاذة منى، بحسب خبرتك ما هي النصائح التي ممكن تقدميها للطلاب اليمنيين؟ طبعا احنا عندنا مشكلة مع اليمنيين في أمريكا للأسف. طبعا عدد الجالية في أمريكا قد يتعدى 100,000 إذا لم يكن أكثر. طبعا هم متجمعين في نيويورك، ميشيغان، كاليفورنيا، خاصة أوكلاند، سان فرانسيسكو. عدد اليمنيين الأمريكيين الملتحقين في الجامعات يعني ناقص بحجم عدد الجالية، مش عارف إذا هو 10% أو أقل من اليمنيين الأمريكيين الذين قادرين أن يلتحقوا الجامعات يلتحقون. فكونك يعني أستاذة وتخصصتي في هذا المجال الذي يتكلم على صعوبات الطلاب ومساعداتهم وإدارة شؤونهم، ما هي أهم النصائح التي تقدميها لهم لكي يستمروا في الكفاح في الدراسة؟ لأنه قد ربما البيئة التي هم فيها لا تساعدهم على المواصلة. بعض الناس قد ربما يحبطوهم، ليش تدرس؟ ليش تواصل الدراسة؟ افتح لك بزنس أو استثمر في مشروع أحسن من الشهادة تعلقها بالبيت. فإيش ممكن تنصح هذول الأشخاص عشان يستمروا؟
النور هو علم. العلم هو نور. العلم هو نور، حتى لو الواحد هو التعليم بيغير أفكار الإنسان.
الفكرة.
How do you say critical thinking?
والله صعبة علي هذه كمان critical thinking.
Google it. No, هو يدرب العقل كيف يفكر على الأشياء يعني خارج الجهل. فهمت؟
نعم.
أيوة.
وكذلك هو أسلوب حياة، يعني أنت قد تغير من أسلوب حياتك كشخص متعلم يعني.
أيوة. بعدين حتى الواحد يستعمل الشهادة تخرجها أنت 22 سنة، حتى لو أنت 80 سنة هذه الشهادة عادها معك، شهادة جامعية تقدر تستعملها في أي وقت في حياتك. في بعض الناس يقولون قدني 40 سنة، قدني 45 سنة. عادي، التعليم هو كل إنسان. في واحدة صاحبتي أمها ربت 7 أطفال، صح؟ وكانت معها الباتشلر، وبعدين لما أصغر طفل كبر وتزوج، أصغر واحد اللي معاها رجعت تدرس وهي يمكن 48 سنة 49 سنة، دخل الميديكال سكول، دخلت تعليم الطب، خلصت وهي 55 سنة. اوكي، وهي عراقية، خلصت وهي 55 سنة وصبغت شعرها وخرجت من البيت. she looked cute. بعدين راحت تشتغل وتصلح كل حاجة اللي بدها. ما حد ما حد يقول قد أني كبير بالسن ولا it's too late. كل واحد يقدر. هذا الفرصة لكل إنسان.
صحيح. Just to recap and translate a little bit in English. So we were just talking about the challenges and the advice that Mona would give to the students, especially the Yemeni American community, and how to keep going and striving and getting that degree, despite the fact that you might not be getting or earning the most money out of it. It's your intellect. It builds your critical thinking. It's a change to your lifestyle. And no matter how old you are, don't ever stop learning. She gave an example of one of her friends who was in her 50s, and despite having kids to deal with and attend for, she went and she pursued her medical degree as she was in the early.
Yeah, she was like 48, 49, and she finished her medical degree at about 55, and her kids were grown, and she became a psychiatrist, and she started her career. So now that I'm talking in English, I can explain better. I want to tell every student or every person who wants to pursue higher ed, and it might be difficult or they're discouraged at home, just keep your eye on the prize. Focus. Don't let anything deter you. Whether you're married, you're not married, it's never too late. Whether young or old, it's okay. If you wanted to go to school and you have a chance later in life, do it. And it might be difficult, it might be challenging, but unlike, like you could go to a job and it could be challenging and you don't know when it's just going to continue to be challenging. But if you're in school, it's difficult. It might be the most difficult, but most rewarding time of your life. Continue, and it's limited, and keep your eye on the prize. And then one day you're going to graduate and it's done. And then you have this huge accomplishment in your hands that you'll keep, and it's very worth it.
Yeah, and if I may add something, the best time of your life, I mean, I've gone through college, right? I of course, I have a large network of people. The best time of your life is your college time, I think. Yeah. You build the strongest relationships, you have your best friendships, and you'll have memories that you'll cherish forever. بس نقطة يعني أخيرة كمان طرحناها إنه خبرة الشخص في الدراسة الجامعية قد تكون أهم نقطة في حياته من ناحية العلاقات والصداقات التي يتسنى للشخص أن يعملها مع البيئة التي هو فيها. فذكريات الدراسة الجامعية والأصدقاء التي سوف تتعرف عليهم في الجامعة سوف يظلون معك إلى الأبد إن شاء الله. فهي بحد ذاتها خبرة حياة، وكذلك تكسب منها الكثير معنويا وحتى ماديا في كثير من المجالات.
Go ahead. I just wanted to add that higher ed or college is the only period of time where you will find the most people your age all under one roof. That will be the only time. And something really important that I have to add, that's really important in our field that I forgot to mention, is that some people might see student affairs as something as like fluff or it's not important. We student affairs is student government also, and the clubs, Muslim Student Association, African American Association, all those organizations that's under higher ed. So what we do in our field is we study the effects of student affairs and graduation rates. So I went into college and I'm be honest, I used to see athletics as just like a waste. Like, why are people playing sports when they should be studying, And then what I did when I was getting my master's degree, I forced myself to take athletics in higher ed. So it was a whole course just on athletics in college. And what we found is that the graduation rates of athletes is more like the regular graduation rates are like from freshman to, you know, of course, getting your bachelor's degree, usually like it could be as low as 40% all the way to like maybe 50%, 35 to 55%. That's normal. In athletics, it's 80%. It goes up because the support is there, the camaraderie. There's another thing in our field called chilly climate. So that's something that college students experience when they first get on campus. They don't know anyone. They might be away from home. They feel awkward. They feel uncomfortable. And some people drop out or go to another college. But to avoid the chilly climate, we encourage students to join clubs, to join sports and things of that sort because of the support of other students and their coaches or their counselors or anyone in our fields who could support them, help them succeed. That helps them feel better and it helps them increase the probability of graduating.
Awesome. And I got some help from our audience on Facebook about what critical thinking means. It's التفكير النقدي. So نشكر الأخ وليد الصاير.
اوكي شكرا.
السعدي تقريبا. طيب الآن ممكن نفتح الباب للأسئلة. بس مجرد ترجمة لما قالته الأستاذة منى قبل قليل عن أهمية النشاط أو الأكتيفيتي، النشاط التي ممكن أن يقوم به الطالب. مثلا الملتحقين في برامج رياضة في المدرسة، مثلا إذا ابنك أو بنتك عندها اهتمام رياضي في رياضة معينة، مثلا ابنك يلعب كرة القدم ويلتحق بفريق كرة القدم للجامعة، فرصة التعليم والمنح الدراسية التي ممكن أن تقدم لابنك يعني تزداد أكثر. فيكون هناك يعني نظام كامل يساعد الطالب على استكمال الشهادة البكالوريوس أو حتى الماجستير. إيش كان الإحصائية اللي قدمتيها منى؟ نسبة الخريجين الملتحقين في برامج رياضية كم منهم؟ 80%
graduation rate.
طيب والآخرين اللي بدون؟
ممكن about 50%.
واو. إحصائية مهمة جدا قد يجهلها الكثير. بالنسبة لي أنا متفاجئ بهذه الإحصائية، منى متفاجئ بها جدا، لأنه كنت أفكر أن إذا شخص التحق في برنامج رياضي قد ربما يشغلها من الاهتمام في الدراسة يعني. فهذه معلومة بالنسبة لي، وإن شاء الله سوف نعمل على ابني عنده اهتمام رياضي، فإن شاء الله أخليه يلتحق في برامج رياضية. فالإحصائية التي قدمتها أنه قالت الطلاب الملتحقين في برامج رياضية نسبة نجاحهم في التخرج من الجامعة تزداد. مثلا إذا لم تكن ملتحق في برنامج رياضي في الجامعة، نسبة تخرجك من الجامعة لا تتعدى 50 أو أكثر من 50 من قليل. لكن إذا التحقت في برنامج رياضي نسبة إمكانيتك للتخرج تزداد إلى 80%. فهي تشجع النشاط الطلابي في شتى المجالات، وخاصة الرياضي إذا كان في موهبة رياضية لدى الطالب. So we can open it up for questions, and I know we have a few people here on the Zoom room as well as people on the chat. So if you are watching us on Facebook and you do not want to enter the Zoom room, you can enter your question on the comment section of the post. If you are on the Zoom room, feel free to unmute yourself and ask the question directly, or if you want to write it in the chat, you can do that as well.
I had a question, Hisham. This is Mandar Jabir. Do you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Mandar. Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, so kind of two questions. Well, first, I'm an engineer, so I try to encourage people to join the engineering construction field type of deal and tell them what it's, what it entails in the long run. So maybe I missed that part, but I did not hear if there was, recommendation to follow the same career path that Mona followed, if that's like in the long run, something that he encouraged people to do. And, if there is an impact, your job is very impactful, obviously, with the public service that you mentioned. So do you like to see more Yemenis in that field? And if yes, Do you see that happening? You explained how to get to that point, but do you see that happening with the Yemenis specifically or not?
To answer that question, I would say, so yeah, it is a marketable degree, and I would highly encourage Yemenis to go into that. One reason, besides the fact that you could help other Yemeni students, there's a huge portion. There are so many other cultures that could relate to, like, we're first generation college students. There's a whole subgroup that we study about first generation college students and their probability of graduating, and how once they get support, they do better. So besides the fact that one Yemeni could help another Yemeni, you could also, of course, help other people who are like you, first generation college student. And there are many barriers that we study in college students, and a lot of times people with parents who've never went to higher ed or have a different background or from a different country, they need that one person in college who could support them and help them. And like when I went to college, I did my own financial aid. I did everything on my own. I didn't have any older brothers and sisters. I didn't have any cousins. I didn't have anyone to show me anything. I was like scared to death the first day of class. I remember being there. I didn't know. I was in a class of 500 students. I didn't know what was going on. I saw students pull out a notebook and start writing. I guess, yeah, I didn't know what a lecture was. And I just started doing what they were doing. And, you know, but I did have an advisor in my education opportunity program. He was Haitian, and he was very helpful to me. He was like my second dad, and he was my mentor, and he was able to relate to my background, and that helped me so much. And there were many other people who helped me from different backgrounds in higher ed. So I was one of those students who had to use the resources in student affairs to help me get, like, I said, I don't know how to do my financial aid. And then he told me about the financial aid workshop, and I said, you know, I need bonus points. I don't know where to volunteer. I don't have a ride. I don't have a car. And he said, well, you could volunteer for our graduation ceremony, and that accounts. You know what I mean? It was just, so people with diverse backgrounds are highly encouraged to go into the field, and it is a marketable degree.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Mundar, from my perspective, if I want to be a little bit selfish as a community, it definitely helps if we have people within our community that go into these types of roles, whether it's administrative, as an educator. They help really, they could be a support system for the community at large. We have a number of them, just a couple of them here in Oakland that work in the school districts, and they do provide a great resource to the community. Also in Michigan, they're expanding. There is a great deal of administrators, teachers, and educators across the couple of districts in Michigan, and they help immensely bridge that gap and enable the Yemeni students to pursue these careers and continue with education. So that's just my perspective as a selfish person wanting to help advance education in the Yemeni community. Do you have another comment, Mundar?
Well, my second part of the question was, and do you spot Yemenis going in that direction? From your position, I don't know if you're like looking specifically, like there's new 5 Yemeni students in campus or something like that. I don't think so. But do you see that maybe, you know, coming along or coming across the board with the Yemeni students pay attention to like this public service type career path?
Are you saying that, do I see Yemeni students going into this field? Have I noticed that? Yeah,
like at large, just as there are more Yemenis you see coming into schools and being, you know, part of this educated group that's coming up right now. I see a lot of Yemenis now. Compared to like 10 years ago, there was not that many students in college or even in high school.
Right.
Well, in high school, yes, but probably not in college.
Yeah. Well, say in general, there's like some people who are not Yemeni don't even know about the field, but there is one guy in this community, he's a friend of my brother's. I don't know if he's on it. He got the same exact master's degree as me and as I did. And he did that, and I don't know about other areas, but I think a lot of people might not know about it because I do see Yemeni people going into teaching or especially counseling for K through 12. Right, but I don't, it's part of the reason I was happy to do this. I wanted to let people know that you could do this, past 12th grade, be a counselor or work in this field. And then when you become a counselor in high school, you have to be certified, I think, in some states, and then you're focused on that. Whereas in this field, you could choose any office in student affairs. I know in some states, for example, if you want to be a counselor in higher ed, you have to be certified even if it's on the college level, whereas New York State, unless you're a therapist, you don't have to be certified. So you would have to double check what's in your state. However, as someone in this field, I think it's, even if I don't have Yemeni students per se, I've had people, because there's a huge Yemeni community here, I've had people in this field in different offices and different colleges come and consult with me on how to deal with the distinctive barriers that Yemeni students might have. And then I'll explain to them why they're going through what they're going through and the best way to handle it. So it's like colleagues benefit from it too, because, if they have Yemeni students, they would like more information on our cultural background. One thing I want to say is I'm really, 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 really proud of Yemeni students, because if you look at the Middle Eastern countries and other countries around the world, Yemen is a fairly poor country, and the education there is not strong, and there are a lot of illiterate people. So coming from a country where our parents or grandparents may have been illiterate to graduating from college is huge.
It's a huge success.
Very. I know some people who are Yemeni who went to Harvard. So yeah, coming from that type of background to this, crossing so many barriers is like I would say, like in our field, this is it would be like a great study. I always thought about doing it because.
طيب منى، بس عشان هذا أعتقد نقطة مهمة إن احنا نترجمها بالعربي. وبعدين we're going to go to the next question after I translate in Arabic. We're going to go to the next question by Reem here in the room.
Yeah.
But so just أترجم اللي قالته الأستاذة منى، أنه هو كوننا يعني جالية يمنية في أمريكا، أتينا من خلفيات بسيطة، يعني خلفياتنا العلمية مثلا أكثر آبائنا لم يلتحقوا بالجامعات، خاصة الجالية اليمنية في أمريكا اللي هم مغتربين، اللي هم هاجروا في الستينات والسبعينات أو حتى قبل ذلك، يعني الأربعينات والخمسينات. فالأب والأم حتى في معظم الحالات غير متعلمين، لا يقرؤون ولا يكتبون. فيعتبر إنجاز كبير في المعايير المعروفة في أمريكا لدى الجامعات، يعتبر إنجاز كبير أنك تذهب إلى الجامعة وتحصل على شهادة في مجال معين. مش عارف منى إذا كان عندك do you have any statistics on your head about the success rate or the percentages of those first generation students? Anything that you can just kind of throw out?
Yeah, we did go over that. That was a long time ago, but
okay. But it's very low, right? First generations, they struggle a lot, right? So
they do struggle. They have unique challenges, very unique challenges.
Yeah. فالمعايير في الجامعات هم يدركون مدى صعوبة تخرج الطالب من الجامعة إذا لم يكن أبوه أو أمه قد التحقوا في جامعة من قبل. فهذا يعتبر إنجاز كبير. فنتمنى من الآباء والأمهات في الجالية أن يحرصوا على تشجيع أولادهم على التعليم، لأنه صعب عليهم أن يتعلموا ويتخرجوا من الجامعة إذا ما كان عندهم خلفية أو أبوهم وأمهم ساروا في نفس المسار. وأكيد هناك العديد من الأشياء التي ممكن أن تساعد الطلاب والعوائل على تخطي الصعوبات هذه، سواء التعامل مع المدارس، مع المنظمات الغير ربحية. AAYSP نحاول قدر المستطاع توفير خدمات في هذا المجال للمساعدة، بس هناك أيضا منظمات محلية في المدارس نفسها أو منظمات أخرى عربية قد ربما تكون يمنية في نفس الوقت تساعدك في الدراسة وإكمال الشهادة العلمية. I'll go now to the next question that we have here in the Zoom room from Bream. She's asking, what do you think is the biggest barrier for Yemeni students when pursuing higher education? I'm assuming that she's referring to higher education, meaning bachelor's after bachelor's.
Right, of course. I know Deem, that's my girl. So, okay, good question. I'm going to speak from my perspective. Some other Yemeni students might say, no, I didn't experience that, or my challenge was different, of course. But in general, I would just touch upon what we just discussed. I think, this is my personal point of view, is that the biggest barrier is that the difference between our parents' generation and ours, whereas like even in America, parents who have not gone to college and their children do, so a lot of them graduated from high school or they went to formal schooling here just like anyone else, right? Whereas in Yemen, some of our parents have not gone to any formal schooling at all. My dad's first education opportunity was through his dad. He taught him how to read and write, and then he never went to any type of formal schooling until he was a I don't know if it was a police officer in another country in the Middle East, or he had to get trained. So they did a lot of academics, and that was his formal schooling. However, it's a very, I mean, they move to America because they want their children to get educated, but sometimes they don't understand the challenges we go through. So that could be very, very difficult for a lot of Yemeni students to go through. So whether, like I mentioned before, whether it's staying in the library to study long, or sometimes I have to attend meetings, or the type of things I need to support me in my class, or not going to a wedding because I have an exam the next day. Things of that sort is very strange to them. So being able, I mean, college is hard as it is, and then to have those barriers or those challenges makes it even more difficult, and you just have to keep pushing and keep pushing and keep pushing, and it could be difficult. But of course, if you have AAYSP in your community, or even if it's not in your state, and you can reach out to someone like me or Hisham, we're here to support you, and we understand. And I look at my kids, and of course, for me, I went to Yemen and I saw how they, like in the villages, they barely had schools, and how a lot of people, didn't go to school, and then how I saw education is so valuable, is like the most prestigious, most not just prestigious, but something that we're so lucky to have. But then of course my children, it's just like, are you gonna go to college? Like, I don't know if I want to go. I'm like, wow. But I can't push that. I try not to push my way of life on them, but I value it so much that I went into the field that helps other students achieve this. So yeah, that could be difficult, but seek out supports, and it doesn't have to be someone from our community. It could be anyone, like I did. My support was a Haitian person at the college campus, and he was my support like for so long. Just find that mentor. You need a mentor.
Yeah.
You need a mentor to help you get through, and they're there. You just have to seek it out.
Yeah, and this is actually one of the most requested type of support that people ask us is, can we speak to somebody who speak like us, look like us, who has gone through this challenge? Or also, if I'm pursuing a degree in science or law, or can I speak to a Yemeni lawyer or a Yemeni engineer that could help me through this? So AAYSP, we have done this in informal ways, but alhamdulillah, over the past few weeks, I have been working with a website developer here in the Bay Area, Yemeni American, who's one of the founding members of the California chapters. His name is Muhammad al-Mahbashi. and I want to give him my regards. We've been working on a website, a platform that will enable students and young professionals to connect with mentors, Yemeni American professionals who are in different fields. So this platform will allow you to go find the mentor that you're trying to connect with, find their availability, and then select to have a conversation with that person. And this will all be automated through the website. So it's a work in progress, and then hopefully we'll launch it in the next few weeks, hopefully middle of November if we can. But a lot of work has been put into it, and I hope that it will provide that level of service to the community at large, anywhere in the US. Anybody can use this service. I just want to encourage all the professionals, once we launch this website, that people will actually sign up to be a mentor and give a few hours of their time per month to speak to a Yemeni student or a Yemeni young professional who is in need of an advice. And then we're coming close to the end of the hour here. One more question that I see on the Zoom chat is from Akram. He's asking, from your perspective, Mona, what are the most difficulties that Yemeni students suffer during the studying time, while they're studying, while they're pursuing a degree? What are the most challenges that they face? And maybe, I don't know, maybe in the place where you work, there weren't a lot of Yemeni students, so maybe you cannot relate to it based on your exact experience in the role. But please do your best to kind of, put your community knowledge and the common student issues that you saw.
Right. So just for studying, I'll tell you from my point of view. Like I said, I was the eldest, so studying for my parents was like for hours on end was something new. So when my brothers were young and they played video games outside of my room, we'd get into a fight, and then my parents kind of get frustrated with them. Then they get frustrated with me. Like, in Arabic, they say, "La wain hada dirasa," like how long. They didn't understand why it took so long, So I had to manage, and sometimes I would get frustrated and want to give up, but I knew it was for me. I was like, I have to find a way, So I would stay at the library, and instead I found that more useful. And I know, like in our culture, some people get married young and they might have children, and you just have to pre-plan. Don't let anything get in the way. Pre-plan and just sit down and find a solution to your situation. There's always a way. You could always find support. Like when I had children, I'm a single parent, I had children, and I found my mom helped me for a while, but then when she couldn't, I asked people in the community who could babysit for a good rate that's nearby, that people recommended someone. So I used my resources. So you could look for resources on campus, or you could look for resources in your family or in the community. Just find a solution ahead of time, because then when you're in the situation, you're trying to study and trying to focus, it's really frustrating when you get disrupted, because sometimes you're not even motivated to study, let alone get disrupted and have to start over and refocus. So that's the best I could recommend, is to find the best way that you could study based on whatever resource you get your hands on.
Okay, great. So just we're about to wrap up here. I don't want to go over time, بس ملخص عربي سريع. يعني تحدثت الأستاذة منى عن أهمية وجود شخص ناصح لك لكي يساعدك في تخطي يعني المراحل الدراسية. ونحن بدورنا من جمعية الطلاب والمهنيين AAYSP نعمل الآن على مشروع ويب سايت لتوصيل الطلاب أو الناس الذين يحتاجون إلى استشارة في مجال معين، أو يتحدثون مع مثلا واحد يمني أو يمنية درست في نفس المجال، أن يطلبوا النصيحة عن طريق الهاتف أو عن طريق الزوم. فإحنا إن شاء الله خلال الأسابيع القادمة سوف يعني I don't know what to say in Arabic. We're gonna launch سوف نبدأ أو ندشن المشروع هذا إن شاء الله لكي يكون متاح لجميع الجالية اليمنية في أمريكا إن شاء الله. At the end, if anybody has any remaining comments or questions, we'll take one more. Otherwise, I want to give a chance to Mona to kind of give us her conclusion and closing remarks, and we will end the live stream and the session.
I don't see any questions Zoom. I can't see the Facebook. I don't know if you could.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. I'll verify. Yeah, I think we're good. I don't see any comments on the live Zoom. So on the live Facebook. So you want to give your closing remarks, Mona?
I just wanted to say for the people who could use AAYSP, use it. I remember we had a chapter in Buffalo, and we used to we had a mentoring program, and we had like field trips to the college for the students, and it's a great resource. It's a great networking opportunity to meet with professionals in the field or even in different fields if you have questions about it. It's very supportive, and don't take, in general, to every student, don't take your resources on campus. Take advantage of them. You have a lot of times, sometimes people in the field, like counselors and academic advisors and mentors, complain that not enough students come, but you're paying for it. That's part of your fees. A portion goes to student affairs. Even with student activities, when they give out stuff, go to these events. You could, if it's like a fun event or these clubs, join one. It helps a lot. You meet other students who could show you other resources, and you don't feel so lonely in college. Or even if you do have friends, you could meet other friends who can have other resources to guide you to different things. There's so many resources that are untouched, like scholarships. Even the scholarship office at the financial aid, you could go there, you could tell a financial aid officer, I need help looking for scholarship. They'll do that for you. You know, I'm sure if you open your college catalog and you could look up the resources that you want. And if you would like to join an organization that's related to, like, maybe Muslim Student Association, or if there's a Yemeni Student Association, or if there's just like a general one, like in your major, like for anyone, like I joined the psychology club when I was majoring in psychology, or student government to learn, you know, things of that sort. It's a great opportunity. And besides the fact that it could be fun, it could also, like I said, be resourceful. And if there isn't an organization that you want to join, you could create one. They're more than happy to, like we've done that in the past. We've created organizations. And a big thing that I did, and I still do, is to network like crazy. You know what the definition of networking is? Just meeting as many people as possible. And you never know how that person could help you or how you could help them. And if there's any way, if you have a resource, give it out, help people, because it comes back. And I met some people, and then I moved to California and came back, and because of my networking circle, I went back to the people I knew when I came back, and I was able to connect to jobs and other resources. That's how I live my life. I think a lot of things that I've gotten in the past 10 years is based on my networking. I know you could ask, like Reem lives here and she's funny. She wanted to connect with someone, and she said she asked a bunch of people and no one knew the person she needed. And then she finally said, if there's one person who knows, it's Mona. And then she asked me, and I connected her. She's a younger Yemeniya, and I connected her to the resources she needs. I don't do it just for myself, but I also network so I could help other people gain the resources that they need too. So
Great. No, these are a lot of good advice that a lot of people can take, and I will just summarize them in Arabic before we wrap up and end the session. Please remind me if I forget one of them. So آخر سؤال طرحناه للأستاذة منى، ما هي يعني كيف ممكن تختم اللقاء هذا؟ فجابت عدة نصائح ممكن تقدمها للطلاب. أولها الاهتمام بالدراسة بشكل عام طبعا، وأهم شيء هو استخدام الموارد المتاحة لك أو لك في المدارس. الجامعات عندها كثير من الموارد المتاحة للطلاب، سواء الدعم المادي من خلال المنح الدراسية، سواء الدعم المعنوي، حتى الدعم النفسي يمكن، صح منى؟ في هناك there is any psychological or
there's a counseling office. Like if you go to a counselor like in the community, you have to check your insurance and see if the insurance covers it, you have to pay for it. There's a counseling office on every campus and you already paid for it. Part of your tuition fee.
فالدعم المادي، الدعم النفسي، الدعم للاستمرارية في الدراسة موجود في كل الجامعات. كل ما عليك أن تعمله هو تحديد ما تحتاجه والذهاب إلى الموارد. الجامعات تشكو من قلة استخدام تلك الموارد. فتخيلوا معي أن يكون هناك موارد من أموال وخدمات لا يستخدمها الطلاب لأنهم غير مهتمين بما يعني بالقدر الكافي. join organizations، التعرف على توسيع دائرة المعارف لديك، الالتحاق بالجمعيات سواء جمعية محلية أو جمعية داخل المدرسة أو نشاط رياضي أو نشاط تربوي داخل الجامعة، هذه أيضا يساعدك على الاستمرارية. أي حاجة أخرى نسيتها؟
No, just networking with people.
Okay, Mundar, you want to say something?
Yes, on that point specifically, you know, the resources on the campus and how this country helps you انك تخلص مدرسة وكذا. I myself, when I got here, obviously we had to go through ESL and all these like prerequisite classes. They took like 2 years of my life, literally like 5 semesters, which really drained all my all my FAFSA, financial aid resources, because each one of those classes was 6 units in comparison to master's classes, which is like 3 units or any other typical classes. So I just wanted to throw that out there, like if you really don't use the counselors or you have networks like someone like Mona or someone like to guide you through it, you can waste a lot of time, and not only time, but you also lose a lot of money that you eventually, if you continue going, finishing all your schooling, then you're going to have to pay for it out of pocket. In comparison, like someone who knows what they're doing and they use that financial aid money wisely and they register the classes they need, and then they could be done within 4 or 5 years. It took me longer than that because obviously we didn't know anyone and no one guided us in the start. So I pretty much lost all my financial aid money in the first 5 semesters or 6 semesters. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And yeah, you need to be talking to people like Hisham or Mona, or Mona can elaborate on that.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Well, I want to apologize for going over time, but it was a great discussion and a lot of valuable information that Mona shared with us. And hopefully maybe in the coming months, if there's an opportunity, we can maybe share some more data about the challenges that students face. What are some statistics that we can learn from and project against or across the Yemeni American community? But definitely we want to keep the conversation going about this topic to help the students. This recording will be on the Facebook page. It could be accessed by many people over the next few days or even next few months. We will also upload it to our YouTube page for those who don't have Facebook and we just want to use it, watch it via YouTube. I want to thank everyone for joining here in the Zoom room, as well as watching us live on Facebook or watching it later on. Thank you for everyone, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you.